So what happens when two of the most powerful technologies we've ever dreamed up? I'm talking quantum computing and artificial intelligence. What happens when they finally start to merge? Today, we're going to dive into this, but not as some far-off sci-fi idea. We're looking at it through the eyes of an AI engineer who saw all of this coming years ago.
You know, imagine having this thought that just feels huge, world-changing even. But when you look around, you realize you're pretty much the only one having it. That's exactly what it was like for the engineer whose journey we're following today. He was wrestling with what quantum AI could mean long before it was making headlines.
And to put that into perspective, just 4 years ago, this wasn't a hot topic. The idea of mashing up the bizarre, powerful world of quantum mechanics with AI, it was way out on the fringe. You just couldn't find much talk about it, not a lot to read. It was a theoretical frontier, and for him, a pretty lonely one. But then everything changed. What was once the quiet contemplation of just a few people suddenly became a very loud, very public, and very well-funded global tech race.
All of a sudden, the whole field just exploded. There are three big things that have happened recently that really signal the age of quantum AI isn't on the horizon anymore, it's here. We're talking about a massive quantum computer sale, a super aggressive timeline from a tech giant, and a flood of cash pouring in.
Okay, first up, D-Wave. They sold the world's biggest quantum computer, a beast with over 5,000 qubits. Now, a regular computer bit is either a 0 or a 1, right? But a qubit can be both at the same time, which just unlocks this insane exponential processing power. A 5,000 qubit system is a mind-boggling leap forward, built to solve problems we once thought were literally impossible.
Next, let's look at Google's quantum AI unit. They are not talking about some distant future. No, they've laid out a plan to roll out commercial quantum computing applications within the next 5 years. This means real-world uses in things like creating new materials, developing drugs, and transforming energy. The pace is just breathtaking.
And you know what they say, follow the money. A startup called QuEra Computing just pulled in over $230 million in funding. And guess who some of the investors are? Yep, Google's own quantum AI division. This isn't some academic science project anymore. It's a massive financial bet on the immediate future of this tech. So how do you think it feels to be that engineer who was thinking about all this stuff in isolation 4 years ago? Well, it's complicated. It's this mix of validation and deep concern. You know that feeling of, I told you so, immediately followed by, oh no, are we actually ready for this?
And this really gets to the heart of it. It's a total double-edged sword. On one side, you feel this relief, this validation that the world has finally caught on. But on the other side, there's this huge concern that the race to innovate is just completely outpacing our ability to handle it ethically. You can feel the urgency. So here's the bottom line. When you have this kind of unprecedented power, you also have the risk of unprecedented and maybe even unintended consequences. We are building something more powerful than we can even fully get our heads around. And doing it without a clear ethical roadmap, that's a massive, massive gamble.
And that brings us to the ethical imperative. The engineer's journey really shows us that this can't just be a personal reflection anymore. It has to become a shared responsibility, something we all take on.
So what does that even look like? The key idea here is ethical oversight. And look, this isn't about slamming the brakes on innovation, not at all. It's about a collaborative process, getting the smartest people in the room to build guardrails, to steer this incredible power so that it benefits everybody, all of society, not just a select few.
And for this to work, everyone has to be at the table. It means the researchers discovering new quantum algorithms also have to think about how they could be misused. It means the technologists actually building the hardware need to talk with ethicists. And it means policymakers have to create smart rules that protect us without stifling innovation. This absolutely cannot happen in separate silos.
Ultimately, the author's message goes from being a personal story to a universal one. This isn't just a conversation for the experts. We all have a stake in the future that's being built, which means we all share a piece of the responsibility for guiding it. And that leaves us with what might be the central question of our time. It's not if we're going to have this technology, it's how we're going to use it. How do we make sure that the future we build with these almost godlike tools is not only groundbreaking, but also equitable and just for everyone? That's the challenge right in front of us.